Now that we feel comfortable with the calculation of our average share price and we know what is needed in our SFP, let's have a quick look at an actual activity where we can now practice this. So we have to, first of all, calculate the average share price on the 1st of September 2021. So let's look at the information. It says that you are provided with the information relating to Clifton Trade or Clifton Limited for the year ended 31 August 2022, which means that your financial year started on the 1st of September 2021. September 2021. Okay, so in other words, they are asking for your average share price on the first day of your current financial year. Then in the information, it says that you had the following balances in your general ledger on the 1st of September 2021. So in other words, on the first day of your current financial year. Let me just quickly remove this one here. There we go. Okay. So, in other words, if you had your total ordinary share capital amount as 3834. Oh, sorry, man. Now this thing is again not working with me. There we go. 4. Gosh. Okay. And you had a total of 600,000 shares, you're just going to take your total ordinary share capital amount and divide that by the number of shares in issue on that specific day. So total ordinary share capital divided by the number of shares in issue. So just want to double check. Yes, I used the correct amount there. And that is then R6.39. Okay, so that is your average share price. So you can only remove per share your average share price that you have now calculated. That's if you do have a buyback, which we obviously will have because that is what we are practicing now. Okay. Then it goes on to say that we must now also prepare our ordinary share capital note, ledger account, plus a retained income ledger account. Okay, so let's do that. We know that ordinary share capital is an equity account, and equity accounts have their balances on the credit side, their opening balances. So, oh my gosh. This is just not working with me. Okay, so 2021. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to type this. It's going to be a whole lot easier. So September the 1st, we had a balance that we brought down from the previous financial year. And that amount was 3834. Okay, there we go. And we then said that we calculated our average share capital using the 3834 divided by 600,000 shares. And that's how we got to our average share price. Then we also had some retained income. So we'll go to our retained income ledger account 2021, September the 1st. We had a balance that we brought down from the previous period, and that amount was 3.15. Okay, righto. So there we have that. Then the next information says that we also issued, this is the issued share capital that was issued at R4.50 at first. And then people started believing in our company a lot. So the share price increased to R8.55. But we are not going to use that because we only need our opening balance. So the total that we calculated here. And then we had to calculate our average share price that was included in our opening balance, and that we did do. So we are not going to use the R4.50 and the R8.55. We don't need that information. Right. Then on the 1st of August 2022, the directors decided to buy back 50,000 shares at a price of R11.65 per share. So the 31st of August 2022 is over here. We are now buying back 2022 August. So we are saying that we no longer have this ordinary share capital within this account because this buyback occurred, right? And then we also took some of our retained income to help fund this buyback. So 22 August, just move this, and this happened on the 31st, okay? So we had to pay our shareholders this money. So that means that we would have had a credit for bank, right? As recorded in the CPJ. So that is your credit, and your debits is retained income as well as ordinary share capital. So bank as recorded in the CPJ, and the same for your retained income bank as recorded in your CPJ. I don't have a folio column, so that's why I'm including it in the details. Okay, right, so now for the calculations. I may only remove from my ordinary share capital whatever I put into that account. And the 600,000 shares on average cost R6.39 for the shareholder. So that's what I've included in my ordinary share capital account. The reason why I'm using the average share price and not one of these amounts is because they didn't tell me that there's a specific share that I bought back. They just said overall there was a repurchase of 50,000 shares. So that's why I'm disregarding this information. Okay. And usually in the exams or tests, we don't give you the breakdown. We just want you to calculate the average share price on the date of the buyback. So we won't refer to specific shares that you repurchased. Okay, so it's 50,000 shares that I'm repurchasing now. So I'm going to have to say here that it's 50,000 shares. Just going to do my calculation here. 50,000 shares. And I'm buying it back, but I need to remove it from my ordinary share capital account first at the average share price. So, calculator, I'm buying back 50,000 shares at R6.39 each. So, my amount is 319,500. 500. Okay. Just want to show that 9 a bit better. Okay, so there we go. That is our average share price, but that's not it. We decided to buy it back at R11.65. So that is more than my average share price. So let's calculate the difference here. R11.65 is what we paid, and then R6.39 is my average price. So I paid per share R5.26 above my average share price. So that had to be taken from our retained income. So times 50,000 times 50,000. So from my retained income, I had to take 263,000 Rand. Okay. So the total amount that I paid was R11.65 times 50,000 shares. So the total in bank will be 582,500. Okay, so that is in bank, but I can't remove the full amount from my ordinary share capital, so only 319,500 is taken from ordinary share capital. and the difference will be taken from my retained income. Right, so that means that I no longer have my opening balance for my ordinary share capital. I now have less. So on the last day of the current financial year, which is actually August still, the 31st. So still the 31st. So we did this buyback on the last day of the current financial year. I no longer had my opening balance. I had that minus the average share price of the shares that I repurchased. Okay, right, sorry. Cats again. So just going to pause. Doing this from home is not easy. Okay, right. So then we find the totals and we write it on both sides. So luckily you are in grade 12, you know how to balance counts. Come on, there we go. So we are left with 3.514 million ordinary share capital. So this is the amount that you will then see in your SFP for ordinary share capital. You will obviously then bring that balance down on the 1st of September 2022. And then in your retained income, you started with 315, but then you had to use some of your retained income for this buyback. So your balance is now that. And this is what you will see in your SFP for balance. This is what you will see in your SFP as a balance for your retained income. So that's a nice and easy calculation there.